Hey there, you guys. Welcome back. I've got something exciting. I don't even know. I don't even know how to say it. I went over to a garden center in my area, and actually in one of the next towns over. It's called Lost Horizon Nursery, and they specialize in a lot of unique things. So there I was able to find it's the hardy lady slipper, Cypripedium. I need somebody to say it for me. Cypripedium, I think. This one is Cypripedium kentuckiensis, and supposedly this one has one of the largest flowers of the lady slipper variety of orchid, the hardy lady slipper. So the pouch on this one will get to be about the size of a large egg. So I actually ended up buying this one not so much because of the flower, but because it was the healthiest looking species that they had of the slipper orchids. So that's why I bought that one. And so today we're going to be planting this plant. I've been doing some research on this because each slipper orchid seems to be different in its own way. Some of them grow in rocky environments, some of them grow in more of a marshy environment, some of them grow in sandy environments, most of them are acidic loving plants. This one here requires sandy soil and about a pH of about 6.5. It's a little bit difficult to find a pH of 6.5 in my area because the tap water that we use, so what I'd be watering my plants with, would be 8. So that's pretty high. And I don't have any pine trees around me to lower the acidity. So I'm going to have to get rid of that fly around my head. I'm going to have to find some pine trees and collect some pine needles, or even beech or oak. I can find those leaves and mulch them up and put them around my plants. Oak leaves maybe not the best. They don't really break down, and sometimes it's not so great for plants. If you notice in an oak forest, generally there's not a lot of stuff growing underneath them. So anyway, I got this one, Cypripedium. If I say it enough, I'll get it right, I hope. And I also got this variety of jewel orchid. This one's Goodyeara pubescens, the downy rattlesnake plantain. So if you can see it there, it's got beautiful markings on the leaves. I've got one downstairs, a Ludicea cross that's called Spider-Man. So the one that I have downstairs looks very similar to this, except it's a tropical variety, and the leaves are a little bit more perfect than this one. Both of these are hardy to my zone, and so they're going to stay in the garden all the time. So because this is the one we'll plant today, and I'm going to plant it over here in amongst the crazy in the shade. They do require shade to partial shade, so I want to make sure that I give it the best home possible. To get the soil prepped, I'm going to use some peat moss, because peat moss has a naturally low pH, so it will kind of regulate the pH level to what this needs to be. I've got some mushroom compost that we're going to mix in as well. And because this one is a sand lover, I've got some sand here. This is play sand. I know that play sand isn't necessarily the best way to go. A horticultural sand with a more coarse grit would be the best way to go, but around my area it's hard to find horticultural sand. Oh my god! And I've had these for a while. I've got a pH meter. This does pH, light, and moisture. So I'm going to come out from time to time and just test the pH level of the soil. And also, I will be adding from time to time some aluminum sulfate. You're seeing the French side. Aluminum sulfate. This I will either add to some water, 15 milliliters per 3 liters of water will be what I would be watering in around this plant every so often. I think it's every couple of weeks you apply this until you get your desired pH that you want. I think it lowers it by about 0.5 pH each time you water. So I've got this as a backup plan, but I do want to use natural methods. I want to use the pine needles and whatnot. But because this soil is probably around 7 or 8, it might be a little bit high for this just yet. So anyway, let's mix up this soil and get to it. Oh, and when we plant this, we want to make sure to plant this shallow, and you want the roots to clamber across the top of the soil. We'll get to that when we actually go to plant. So let's open up these bags. I want more peat moss than the other stuff. Just dumping in maybe half the bag. Maybe we'll do roughly the same amount of sand. Supposedly these are found in low-lying ravines in very sandy areas. So you want to make sure that there's lots of sand, good drainage. This sand actually holds on to a lot of moisture. That's why a horticultural sand would probably be the best bet. But mixing this with other things should loosen it up. Mix that in, and then we'll add some of the mushroom compost. Do a few scoops of mushroom compost. Hope this video won't be too long and too boring. I'll show you a picture of the Cypripedium flower, the Kentuckiensis, because I think it's really cool. Where did I put? Oh, there it is. Oh, this is really organic. This is mushroom compost. It's very, very moist. There's a lot of organic material in there. It looks really healthy. This will be perfect for the orchid. It looks like there's rotting, like mulch. It looks almost like broken down bark and stuff, which is perfect. The orchids, terrestrial orchids, tend to put their roots sideways across the soil. They don't necessarily go deep where it's really, really packed. They stay along the leaf litter and they move their way out. So you don't need to plant them deep. And you want to make sure that the soil is very, very organic, very light. A lot of leaf litter, maybe bark, very composted but very, very nice, easy to manipulate soil. I'm going to add a little bit more of this compost. I have heavy clay soil, well, not heavy, I have clay soil in my garden, so I'll need to amend this better than I would normally with other plants. Because if it likes a very well drained area, I'll need to make it a bigger hole. I'm going to do a little bit more sand, and this should be good. So I'll mix this up. You don't have to watch the rest of this, and I'll bring you in and we'll deal with the planting. Okay, so I want to plant right in this zone right here. So I'm going to get rid of some of the soil here. I'm going to pull back some of the mulch so we can push that back over the soil afterwards. No sense in getting rid of it if we can use it, and it also is good for the soil. A nice light media. So just going to bring in a bucket here to remove some of this soil. I'll bring you in when this hole is dug, and we'll amend the soil. Okay, so as you can see, we've dug a pit out for this. About 8 inches down we reach clay, but above that is well amended soil, so this should be fine. I'm going to dump our peat, sand, and organic compost, mushroom compost mix into the hole and spread it out. And then I'm going to grab our plant. It's cute, isn't it? Really cute. Again, this is the healthier species that was there. Let's remove it from the pot. We're going to want to just tease the roots out a little bit. As you can see, they've got a nice a nice plump root system. You want to make sure that the root system stays about soil level, just a little bit below. So I'm going to mix the mix that was already there. I'm just going to dig a little hole, and I'm going to place the root system out, fan it out, and make it flat. And then we're going to just backfill into this. We're going to make sure that the crown, that the plant where it was in the pot, is where the soil level is on the plant after we transplant it. We don't want to change the level. And you don't want to pack the roots down. Most plants you pack the roots, you firm it down. This one we don't. Now I'm just going to move in the mulch. And we're good. Now I'm going to water it in, and I'm going to add a little bit of the aluminum sulfate to the water. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of aluminum sulfate, that's 15 milliliters, into 3 liters of water, and I'm just going to water this area. I'm not going to focus necessarily on just where the plant is, I'm going to do just all the way around. Many plants would prefer to have a slightly more acidic environment than an alkaline environment, with some exceptions like clematis and whatnot. But many of them, it's easier for them to take up nutrients. So I'll get that done, and yeah. Anyway, I will keep you posted on how this grows. So stay tuned. Next spring, hopefully we have some flowers. Yeah, this is Cypripedium kentuckiensis, or kentuckiense. So I will keep you updated. Happy growing. I'm going to cut off probably a foot and a half of growth. And I'm doing this now because I'm noticing that they're starting to produce side budding, and